Okay. The last one malfunctioned. I don't know what people were seeing. It was still on my side. All I could see was myself sitting still, sitting very still. Nothing was happening. I tried to hit finish on it. It said your video has to be more than 4 seconds long. So I assume it was not working. I have a couple topics people suggested. Resetting this thing. I had a couple topics people suggested. People suggested movies, movie genres, talking about movies that were made before 1950. That was Daniel. There are a few topics. DACA was suggested. I'll start with DACA. What I know about it is they're kids that came over to our country, came to our country across various borders, who shouldn't be deported because their parents brought them over. They didn't have a choice in the matter. They were kids. And they've basically known this place. Some of them, all their lives, they've known the United States. This is their country. And Trump wants to send them home. To me, that's ridiculous. You know, they didn't come here through any sort of... You know, they weren't doing anything illegal. They were doing what their parents made them do. So, and maybe it was illegal by proxy, but definitely not their fault. They know the language. They've gone to school here. They had very strict requirements to get the exception. I think they should stay. I think it's ridiculous that people want to deport them. I think it's a cruel move. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. I think the DACA, repealing DACA was a cruel idea. Just like I think a border wall is, well, border wall is just stupid. I thought the border wall was going to disqualify Trump as a candidate, but I underestimated how fiscally irresponsible Republicans are. When it comes to racism and xenophobia and prejudice, their prejudice and their racism is stronger than their financial responsibility. They want to tell us they're fiscal conservatives, and you want to build a wall that isn't even going to curb immigration, because most illegal immigration, most undocumented immigrants come here on, actually they come here documented. They come here on work and student visas, and they just simply stay when those visas expire. So, it's ridiculous. Hey, Colin. Well, I guess I should address, I don't know, it's an old story now, but what's not old is Trump's misogyny. He continues to be a misogynist. He was a misogynist during the debates, saying he could see red with Megyn Kelly. He basically was implying Megyn Kelly was on her period when she grilled him. Good on Megyn Kelly for doing that grilling. She's still a racist. She's done a lot of racist things for Fox News. She's done a lot of anti-gay things for Fox News. And now she's on NBC. Oh, boy. But Pussy Grabbing Von Gropenfuhrer said that he basically was making moves on a married woman, and then follow that up with, if you're famous, women will let you grab them by the pussy. That's sexual assault. Let me tell you something. He's blowing it off his locker room talk, man. I've been in locker rooms. I was a football player. I was a wrestler in high school. Okay? And that kind of talk in a locker room will get you punched, man. You get beat up by the team. You know, but even if somebody on the team agreed with you, they ain't going to speak up because the rest of the team doesn't. That is not locker room talk. You don't talk about sexual assault in the fucking locker room. You do talk about women, you know, you're dating, women you're doing sexual things with, women you're, you know, interested in. You might talk about that in the locker room a little bit. Not so much. Most people are focused on getting dressed. And most guys don't talk to each other while they're getting dressed. But there's some stuff that goes on. I mean, people will pick little fights with each other. There's not real fights, like just little sparring, that kind of thing, you know. But talk, there's not locker room talk that involves sexual assault. You know, people talk about rape culture, and I'm not going to deny rape culture, but I am going to tell you that shit don't go in the locker room. You will get your ass beat in the locker room for talking like that. And I can't believe America let them get away with that shit. Well, I can. America has some bloody awful people in it. Bloody awful, like I'm British. Sorry. But this guy, I don't know. I mean, the Republican Party is awful. They pick the worst of the worst. I mean, the worst to me in that field were Ben Carson, Donald Trump, and Ted Cruz. Not necessarily in that order, because Trump is the worst, okay? Ben Carson is pretty bad. He has some problems with delusion, thinking that the pyramids were built by Joseph to house grain, and all kinds of other nonsense Ben Carson was party to. But Ben Carson, I don't know. He's not the worst of them. Ted Cruz is pretty bad. He's a conspiracy theorist. I don't remember what conspiracies he believes right now, but he is a conspiracy theorist. I remember reading about that during the campaign. Trump is also a conspiracy theorist and an Alex Jones listener and a big respecter of Alex Jones. And if you respect Alex Jones, you are one of the worst people on the planet. Alex Jones is a shitbag. Alex Jones is a piece of shit. I was on a Young Atheists and Freethinkers board years ago on Yahoo, and I had a guy who tried to convince me, oh, Alex Jones always tells the truth. Alex Jones, he'll invite anybody to debate him. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you something. As somebody who's been on radio debates, okay, I was on a Christian radio talk show, syndicated radio. His name, oh gosh, please don't let his name draw a blank at the moment. Oh, Bob Duco, right? Yeah, Colin, I get that. I was on Bob Duco's show. He's a right-wing Christian, but really personable guy. When you walk into a studio, he really treats his guests well. I liked his producer a lot. She was fun, but and not in that way, you know. Nothing went on or anything. She was funny and she was kind and, you know, liked to poke fun at things. But and let me tell you something. One of his engineers was an atheist, but he needed a job, and the only job he could get in radio was that, so he took it. So there was an atheist engineer, and it was the funniest thing. But anyway, he burned me copies of my debates, so I got to talk to him a bit. But anyway, Bob Duco, I'll tell you how debates on the radio go. And it's not that Alex Jones is on the radio. He has an internet show, because no radio station would hold him, I don't think. I mean, they do. Radio stations do carry Michael Savage, who is nearly as bad. Michael Savage, I gotta say Alex Jones is worse. Michael Savage is shit. He is horribly, horribly anti-gay, horribly anti-Muslim, and racist as hell, misogynist as hell. But Alex Jones is far worse. Because Alex Jones, I mean, Michael Savage does distort the truth, okay? He presents, quote, alternative facts, unquote. But Alex Jones, he just introduces all kinds of conspiracy theories. And one of those is Sandy Hook was a false flag. Sandy Hook didn't happen. He's doing the same shit with the Vegas shooting. Alex Jones is a horrible person. And Trump listens to him. Trump told him, I will make you proud. He said this to Alex Jones. And there is a video of this. He said this to Alex Jones. I will make you proud. He says, I respect Michael Savage. Michael Savage, who I did a video about in 2008. It's still on my blog, Greg's Take. gregstake.blogspot.com. I don't really write on it anymore, but I wrote on it for several years. I believe it was 2008, maybe 2004. I did a video on Michael Savage. Well, it could have been 2004 because Caitlin was born then, and I didn't know she had. I didn't know Caitlin was autistic then. So sometime after I found out Caitlin was autistic, so because this infuriated me. I think it was 2008.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Oh, Alexa, I didn't say anything to you. Alexa likes to make her little outbursts. Anyway, so Michael Savage went on a rant about how 99% of cases of autism are fake. And then he went on to give an analogy with asthma. Like, it used to be asthma. Parents would tell their kids, coach their kids, oh, cough, and the school nurse would say you have asthma, and then you get all kinds of special things like IEPs and extra time to do stuff, which is bullshit. You don't get that for asthma. You get out of gym at the most. You do not get out of academics for asthma. Anybody who listens to Michael Savage and believes that shit, fuck you. Fuck you. Because it's bullshit. Okay? That's not true. What is true is that autism requires a fucking diagnosis. You can't get any services, you can't get IEPs, you can't get anything without a diagnosis from a professional psychiatrist. Okay? So the 99% of autism is fake. Fuck you, Michael Savage. I wish you could see this video because this is how I really feel about you. You were a piece of shit motherfucker who I'd love to punch in the goddamn face for that. I'm a father of an autistic girl, and I had to get her diagnosed to get services. It was a grueling process. She had to meet strangers at 3 years old that scared her. You know, she had to go into new and strange places and had sensory processing disorder, and it was tough on her, and she had to meet with 8 adults in a room, which is intimidating for most adults. And you want to say that 99% of autism cases are fake? Fuck off, man. You have to go through all kinds of shit to get an IEP. You have to go through an IEP meeting every year where you have to evaluate whether she needs the services they're providing. Speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. My daughter no longer needs physical therapy. She barely needs occupational therapy, but she still needs speech therapy. And you have to get a note from a doctor for that shit. You have to take her to her pediatrician and get that. You have to find a developmental pediatrician who's familiar with autism, and that's very hard to do. You can get a psychiatrist, though, but a school psychiatrist will evaluate your child, and it has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, guess what? You don't get fucking IEPs, and you don't get fucking services, fucker. I was a lot more measured in my blog. On my blog, I wrote about Michael Savage, and I tore apart his video, fact by fact, because he presented things as fact. And people don't understand the difference between fact and opinion. People defended his freedom of speech. Okay, this is what I did with Michael Savage. Okay, Media Matters for America is where I found that video. Okay, and I went and listened to it in its full context because I don't want people to say I took it out of context. Even though there was no context, what he said would fit in that would make it anything less than crazy and delusional and flying in the face of all evidence to the contrary, which is delusional. People say delusional. This is where I'm in the atheist experience discussion group, and it's well moderated, and they're really watchful of ableist language. And this is one place where I disagree with them, but I will never use it in their group because I respect moderators of a group. It's not my group, it's their group, and I keep it out of there. But goddamn it, delusional has a specific definition in the dictionary, and that is belief in spite of evidence to the contrary. That is a definition of delusion, so delusion is not ableist, delusion is a fact. When you believe in spite of the evidence, it is delusion. Okay? Unfortunately, there's another a definition of delusion that has to do with mental illness. Delusion isn't necessarily a mental illness, and that's my problem with it. You know, it's not... But anyway, I will censor myself in that group because I like being part of the discussions there. I just disagree with them on that being ableist language. That's the only thing they're pretty strict on ableist language. They won't even let you use the word stupid or anything. And you really shouldn't be calling people stupid. People call Christians stupid all day and Muslims stupid all day, but they're not stupid. Religious people aren't stupid. I've met some really goddamn smart religious people. They just... a lot of them will compartmentalize and a lot of them will rationalize. The smarter a person is, the better they are at rationalizing things. Colin, my daughter is currently 13 years old. She'll be 14 in January. She still has a language delay. It's really hard to give her an IQ test. So we don't know what her IQ is, but we get intellectual disability services, or we will be getting intellectual disability services through Westmoreland County because we can't measure her IQ and she still has a language delay, and she falls under that category. Her teacher is under the impression that it's really mild or it doesn't really exist. We just need to unlock her language skills, and everything will go from there. There are things unlocking. Abstract thought. My kid didn't talk about the future at all. Kaylin didn't talk about the future at all until like last year. And now she's talking about she wants to work when she turns 18, and she's given a couple different places, Wendy's and Walmart. She likes to go to Walmart and look at toys, so it's not any particular love for the company. It's just she likes to go look at the toys there. I'm surprised she didn't say Target, though. And then she has talked about wanting an apartment, wanting to get married, and I don't think she understands the concept of marriage fully, but I think she sees her dad and her stepmom together and how much in love we are, and she wants that for herself. I think, I don't think she really gets everything, but she doesn't want to be alone. And she has expressed concern, and she almost in a panic said that she wanted to live with me and Jeannie after she graduates. So, but she talks about that. She talks about the future now. She didn't used to talk about that. That is a new thing. She is getting better at asking questions to communicate her needs rather than demanding her needs. She is getting better at pronouns. She is starting to read more. I think reading will help unlock her language when she sees the rhythm and cadence of it and what, words and context and stuff like that. So those books with facts, and I want to get her more books with facts. She likes some fiction books too. She really likes things about monuments and, places and people, presidents, things like that. So I did too when I was a kid. I read a lot of biographies. And I knew more about history than the people in my classrooms because of that. So I have to stop pedaling. My glasses are falling down my nose. I'm going to take a drink too while I'm at it. Fortunately, this thing doesn't reset when I do this, so I know exactly how far along I am. So anyway, we're 16 minutes in. The only topic I've talked about that anyone has suggested to me was DACA. Daniel McCaffrey asked me to talk about movies I think that were made before the 1950s. And I don't know very many, unfortunately. I jokingly said I was going to talk about King Kong. King Kong, I made my family watch the original version of King Kong. I had them watch that every Thanksgiving, and it drove them crazy, but they watched it with me. And then when I got into college, we studied it as a classic movie. Let me tell you something. Western Film Classics was a dumb class, and I hated it, and I wish I hadn't taken it. Just the things they want you to learn about movies. Oh, gosh, Paco's on the table. My cat may prevent me from working out. He's up on the table, probably wants attention. He's probably going to scratch my hands. So if I stop exercising, that's why, because I have a Paco on the loose. Jeannie isn't watching. I think she tried to join the original one. It wasn't functioning right. So I hope she does come back at some point. But in any case, movies before 1950. Harvey. If you have to watch one movie before you die, out of, 1,000 movies you need to watch before you die, Harvey is a funny movie. Funny and sad, but funny mostly. Jimmy Stewart plays a guy who sees an invisible rabbit named Harvey. And it's all about his interactions with Harvey and interactions with people. And so Harvey is a really good movie. I'd have to watch it again to really critique it and give you a full review, but I do recommend watching it. I don't know. I was also asked to talk about movie violence and its role in violence in society. Well, I don't know. I'll tell you what. Colin, I'm glad you agree. I totally recommend Harvey. Blockbuster, back when Blockbuster was a thing, had 1,000 movies to see before you die, and that was one of them. So I saw that one. I didn't get through a whole lot of the list, unfortunately, before Blockbuster went out of business. And I can't find the list anymore, so that's great. But, The Wizard of Oz I can talk about. That was before 1950. And let me tell you something. I liked the movie The Wizard of Oz. I did. Okay? I liked the... Hi, Jeannie. Hi, baby. How you doing? I liked the movie The Wizard of Oz. It is nothing like the book, and Jeannie knows this. Jeannie has read pretty much all the Oz stories, I think. Yeah, it was a first color film. Oh, boy, did they go overboard with the color. But they changed a lot. Oh, the original piece was said to be a political commentary on William Jennings Bryan. William Jennings Bryan was Dorothy, and I don't remember. It's been 20-some years since 25 years since I took American Government class at Kent State. And it was called American National Government. And we talked about Wizard of Oz, and we talked about how it was a political commentary on the goings-on of William Jennings Bryan. And, yeah, should have been Silver Slippers, yes, I agree. But they had all kinds of stuff. There's a guy on YouTube called The Dom. His name is Dom Smith, I think. He does reviews on adaptations from books. And his review pretty much coincides with what I would say. And here's Paco. Paco, get off the table. All right. See you later. There we go. That's how you take care of that. So hopefully he won't be back up on the table. He wanted attention, and I set him down. He'll probably be back and interrupting my exercising again, getting in front of the camera. So I mean, there were a lot of neat things in the book that just didn't make it into the movie. It was a longer, there were a lot, and they combined the Good Witch of the South and the Good Witch of the North in one person, which made absolutely no sense in the end and made Glinda look like a bitch. She knew that the ruby slippers, which were supposed to be silver, were her ticket home, but she didn't tell her. In the movie, it makes her look like a total fucking bitch. What the hell? You know? She had the means of going home. Oh gosh, Jeannie, I hope you're not watching this with Grandma. And Grandma, I am sorry. I apologize for my language if you're hearing this. But in any case, Jeannie was at Walmart with her grandma. And I hope that Grandma's not listening to this video. The early part of this video, I went off on a rant on Michael Savage, which was very curse-laden. So, I don't know. Wizard of Oz was a good movie, though. I really enjoyed it as a film. There's, I don't know who my favorite character is, but it is kind of a, everything's an illusion type of deal, and, you go out and do all this work for a facade. I don't know. I'm not really giving a good analysis of it. I'd have to watch it again to give it a really good, good review. But Daniel could probably speak to older movies more than I can, because I haven't watched a lot of old movies in the last couple decades, to be honest. Hitchcock, yeah, I mean, I've watched some. It's been a while since I watched a Hitchcock film, but I think it was Hitchcock who said that the scariest movies are about monsters that can be real. And about things that could actually happen, like Psycho. And I agree with that, because the real monsters on the planet are humans. We have one in the White House. Isn't that a joy? Every day's a horror story that might end up in World War III. Yeah, Hitchcock is the person who said the scariest films are the ones that could actually happen. Now, Birds isn't one that can happen, but Psycho can happen. A lot of his movies could have happened. Jeannie sent me a message. She's gonna be home. Love you, baby. I'll see you soon. I don't know if you're still watching this, but I will see you. I love you. Hannibal Lecter, yeah. Oh, I love Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs is a good film. Really good film. Just watched it again recently. And really enjoyed Anthony Hopkins' performance as Hannibal Lecter. Jodie Foster is really good. It's a really good film. The little side story is that it's, women weren't taken seriously in law enforcement, FBI, that kind of thing. And at the time that film was made, that was oh so true. I don't know how much has changed. Don't know a lot of women in law enforcement, honestly, so couldn't tell you. But that pretty much is how it was. I don't know. Films. I don't know. I mentioned Natural Born Killers last night. I've probably seen that movie 100 times. And it's a real commentary on how people do glorify violence. People do the mass shooters become celebrities. You know, serial killers are celebrities. People really like... I mean, it is fascinating to delve into what happened with these people. But, you know, it's... When Ted Bundy gets marriage proposals while he's sitting in prison and things, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's the level it goes to. But the people who would do that are on the fringe. That's not like a society thing, but society does love serial killer stories and stories about mass shooters. I think the media has more to do with the glorification of violence than movies do. I can play a video game. I've played violent video games. I've played fighting games, shooting games, first-person shooter, MMOs, where all you do is go around and kill stuff. You know, it's almost always killing stuff. And I'm not going out and doing violence to anybody except Nazis. And, I just don't agree with the whole, what you see in a fantasy world is going to translate to reality. Because it is a fantasy world, and you recognize that movies are fiction. I mean, what do they have in these movies? The action movies that are really, really violent, these are situations where it's the best this, it's the best that. No, that gets so cliche. I want a movie about an average person put in an extraordinary situation. Has to deal with it, It's just a cliche, and it's bothersome. But it's always the best person, the best this, the best that. Oh wow. You knew Dylan Klebold. What was he like, Colin? I heard that it's just there was no real clue that they would end up doing that kind of stuff, but how well did you know Dylan? There's a little bit of a delay between my voice and, responses. I guess there's like 15 seconds or something. Not really sure, but while he's coming up with that, my glasses are really bothering me today. Wow. Yes, there's love on my mug. Deal with it. You know why? Because love is awesome. Love is awesome. Let me tell you something about love while Colin is writing, responding about Dylan Klebold, which, might be a little jarring when we're talking about love. But let me tell you something about love. I love being in love, and I love watching other people be in love. And I have some couples that have lasted. They're in love, and they're great. And I know it makes a lot of people who aren't in love sick. And but I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing people in love. Let me tell you something. Here's the thing. The thing is, I'm preaching to the choir with my audience. I don't think I have a single anti-gay person on my friends list. Oh my gosh, I hope not. Because I have so many people who are on my friends list who happen to be gay. Gay, transgender, bisexual, pansexual, you name it. I have people on my friends list from all areas of that spectrum. Okay? And I love a lot of them. I don't know some of them as much as I would like, but I've gotten to know several people on my friends list over time. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to name names. I don't want to embarrass people, but there is a woman who came to me in PM talking about this woman she found, obviously lesbian, right? Who is great. She's talking about her in these glowing terms that echoed mine about Jeannie. Okay? You get that? This straight couple, me and Jeannie, have the same deal going on as this lesbian couple. What does that demonstrate? Love is love. Love is the same no matter if you fall in love. People have different views of falling in love, but when people fall head over heels and it lasts, it's a different thing. And they really, really love each other. They are so in love. And I got all this in PM, and I'm like, you are absolutely in love with this woman. And they got married, and they're still together, and they just, if you read some of the posts, you get the diabetes. You know what I'm talking about? And all those posts that make you sick that I wrote, those come from a lesbian couple too. Imagine that. So, it bothers me when people want to separate it out, want to treat it as something different, and marriage is only between one man and one woman. Well, guess what? Love is universal. When there's love between consenting adults, it looks like love, no matter who's in love. And if you can't recognize that, you're a problem, because you hate love, and I don't like people who hate love. Anyway, so Klebold was normal, very kind and sweet family. Oh, wow. So, yeah, I heard they were just normal suburban families, and then there were people who say, oh, they were part of the trench coat mafia. And then I remember Joe Lieberman. Oh, Joe Lieberman. I hate Joe Lieberman so much. Joe Lieberman blamed Marilyn Manson for the Columbine shooting, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's just like when they blamed Ozzy for a suicide. Especially, oh gosh, I have to get into that. There's a documentary with Ozzy where they talked to him about that. Yeah. Well, Colin, you would know. I mean, you're close to that area. Trenchcoat Mafia seemed like something that was made up, and we have confirmation right here. Oh, you know what else was made up? And did this piss you off? That one woman who said that her daughter was questioned about her religion, and she said yes, she was a Christian. It was all made up. It turned out it was all made up. No witnesses saw that. That was bothersome. She was making that up to get attention, or she made it up to make her daughter look like a hero, and either way it was wrong. But that bothered me a bit. But back to Ozzy. In the documentary, they asked him about suicide solution, and there's a part of the song the lawyer tried to said get the gun and shoot, and it says get the spirits out, which spirits means alcohol, right? Another word for alcohol. This guy's saying get the gun and shoot is what Ozzy said. Well, Ozzy said, well, I can understand that, because for the longest time I thought Jimi Hendrix and Purple Haze was saying, excuse me while I kiss this guy, instead of kiss the sky. Yeah, Colin, that was ghoulish in my opinion. Using her daughter's murder as a vehicle for Christian propaganda, Christian preaching. That was ridiculous. At best, she was making up a story about her daughter to make herself feel good about her daughter's death, but I think she had more going on than that. Wanted to make money off of it, wanted to preach the gospel out of it, and it was ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. Suicide Solution's a song about alcohol, and they made it into a song about suicide by gun, and it was just stupid. So I don't believe all the hype about musicians, certain types of music making people violent, video games making people violent, movies making people violent. But movies do kind of shape the culture a little, but this culture, I don't know. This culture just has a sick fascination with guns. And I'm not calling for a gun ban. I'm calling for a study on guns. Well, not on guns, but on mass shootings to see what could be done to prevent them, if anything. And if I tell a gun nut that, They'll say, oh, it's useless because nothing's going to prevent them. You know, people are going to get guns, people are going to get bombs, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so do nothing. Let's not regulate anything because, you know, let's not even study it because we're so threatened. Let's not even study the gun problem. Let's not study the mass shooting problem. You know, yeah, I think she was pretty opportunistic, Colin. That is pretty sick. I don't remember if she admitted it or people just interviewed witnesses and the witnesses said the story was bullshit, but it was pretty sick. Well, wouldn't be the first or last time the Christians made something up to try to, you know, influence people or make money that that heaven does exist or heaven is real. Heaven is real movie. Oh my gosh. This 4-year-old starts describing a 4-year-old's version of heaven, pretty much. And, oh, it's a miracle. When he had his near-death experience, he went to heaven and he walked with Jesus. Oh, bullshit. How could anybody take the word of a 4-year-old describing the simplest versions of heaven ever and saying, oh, yes, heaven is real? Fight me. That's not evidence. It's a 4-year-old's imagination, and he admitted to it later. His dad just was opportunistic. He was a preacher. Wanted to revive his church and, you know, sell books, and he did. And it was made into a movie, and the movie was popular. Because Christians are gullible people, apparently. Some, not all of them. My mom's pretty skeptical, believe it or not. She's really religious, but she, you know, she's skeptical about the internet and websites and things like that. But when it comes to religious stuff, you know, if somebody religious tells her something and this was just dangerous, she'll believe it, like about nutrition and things like that. And I don't know, she also believes in the power of faith healing. She tried to get me to go to a faith healer for my back, and I said, oh no, I'm not doing that, because it's not going to work, and it's going to be, you're going to pay money and I'm not going to get healed, and it's bullshit. So I don't know. Some people, if a religious person tells them it, they trust it. You shouldn't trust people just because they say they're religious. There's a ton of charlatans out there that, hey, right now, I could become a preacher. I could lie and be a preacher. And I could make a ton of money doing it. A ton of money doing it. I can speak. I have no problem speaking in public. And I can get fiery. I can get fired up. And I can talk about religion. And I can inspire people and do all this kind of stuff and make a ton of money off religious people. You know why I don't do it? Because they have fucking morals. And I can't... There are a lot of... There's a project called the Clergy Project. A lot of clergy don't really believe in that religion that they're preaching. It's just that they were raised in it. They were raised to be clergy, and then they study the Bible, and they're like, oh, this can't really be real. And then they have no way out of it because another training doesn't give them another job. So they go into the Clergy Project and get job retraining and try to get diverted into other stuff. And tell you what, Colin, one of these days, I really got to get my Preachy Atheist page going. I want to do YouTube videos under that name, the Preachy Atheist, and give inspiration that's secular. You know, like, I can talk about the shooting in these terms, the Vegas shooting. I mean, it's terrible that the Vegas shooting happened. But every time there's a disaster like that, there will be heroic people that help. People will rush toward the danger to help other people out because they don't want to see them die. They don't want to see them suffer. And they will go and they will help because that is human nature. Human nature isn't the gun violence. Human nature isn't this guy who got up on the 32nd floor with all his guns and all of his ammo, sprayed it into the crowd. That's not human nature. Human nature is to help other people survive. It's how we survived for so many years, for millions of years. Hominids have been around for a long time. So, yeah, exactly. You don't get the point. People want to help other people out. And yes, people can be terrible. People can be terrible. And we see it on social media every day. But let me tell you something that I remember about school. Okay? I used to think everyone in class hated me. Everybody among my peers hated me because nobody wanted to be my friend. But you know what it was? There were a handful of people that made fun of me because I was the smart guy and they were jealous. Or I was the chubby guy and they didn't like that. Or whatever it was. And they made fun of me, and they were the ones who made me look like shit. And nobody wants to be with the ostracized person. And I went through that all through school, thinking that nobody liked me at all. And now I know that it's not that. It was a handful of assholes who made it hard for me. And that is what the world is. There is a minority of assholes, and they are the ones who ruin it for everybody else. And they are the vocal ones, and they are the aggressive ones, and we need to be aggressive right back. And when I started fighting back, and when I started gaining confidence, lifting weights really did it for me. Back when I was 12, I started lifting weights, and it made me gain confidence. And when I was in high school, I had friends. You know, I hung around people. First, the group that I hung around were my brother's friends. He went off to the military, and they kind of adopted me. And I was lifting weights. One of the people that took me out was the guy who trained me in lifting. And gained a lot of confidence when I was a teenager. And I had a lot of friends when I was in my senior year. Not among my peers, though. I never really had a lot of friends among my classmates. It was always somebody younger or older by a year or two. And anyway, it's always a handful of people that just ruin it for everybody. And that's what's going on with the gun debate. There's vocal people. It's like, okay, I'll give you an example. I was in Mensa Atheist, M-Atheist at Yahoo, right? It's a special interest group under Mensa. And in that Mensa group, there were like 10 vocal libertarians out of 600 people. There were 600 people in that group. 10 vocal libertarians who were always vocalizing their libertarianism all the time. And you're talking about really smart people, so to argue with them, you got to step up to the plate, right? And there was one reasonable one. His name was Mel. The rest of them were, I don't know where they got their ideas. The one guy was saying, let me give you an example of something that one of those guys would write. It was like, why is rape such a heinous crime? It's just sex. That kind of thing. That was the kind of thing I was dealing with. But these were vocal libertarians nobody wanted to engage. And I found myself engaging them because I was the one with confidence to engage them. But they took over the group pretty much. They were the vocal ones in the group. And they were the ones always talking and presenting their ideas. And they were the minority. They were 10 people out of 600. And what I got from other Mensa atheists were like, I really, they would message me privately or email me privately. And they would say, I agree with what you're saying. I don't speak up because you're doing well in the argument, and I don't really have time to engage them. Well, that's true to a point, Colin, but I will give this to vegans. Vegans think it's immoral to kill other animals. They believe all animals are self-aware, which I don't know that I agree with that, but I don't think chickens are self-aware at all. I've raised chickens. I don't think they're they make up stories about chickens, how they're loving mothers and all this other bullshit. Chickens are assholes, let me tell you. But what I will say for vegans is they do have a moral point. Libertarians do not have a tenable position. And I said this in this morning in a post that they don't have a tenable position. Let me tell you why, okay? The basic tenet of libertarianism is you don't force anybody to do anything. But if you want to live in a civilized society, guess what? You have to force people to a degree. Now, applying the least force to people as possible is a great, goal, but they want to do things like burn tires in their backyard, and because it's their property, it's their choice. Fuck you. That soot from that tire is coming over to my yard. The soot from your fire is wafting through the neighborhood. It's ruining the environment. If you're doing things to the environment, it's going to kill things for me. So your rights, the common saying is your rights end where your fist meets my face. And that is what libertarians don't understand. There is going to be a certain amount of force in society. Anarchy is never going to work because you can't have society then. The only way anarchy is ever going to work is if we're self-sufficient. But guess what? We're not. We are dependent on supply chains. We are dependent on businesses. We're dependent on a lot of things that will have to change drastically to have anything resembling anarchy or a libertarian paradise. And I don't like libertarianism because it tells you universal health care shouldn't be a thing. Well, guess what? We pay into private insurance companies tons of money, and we get, the 32nd in the world in results in healthcare, and the people that are above us have universal healthcare, and they get better results than we do overall. Fuck libertarianism. Seriously. We need democratic socialism. Because the things that people want make sense. We can go on all day. People are stupid, people are delusional, people are ignorant. But when you look at the polls and what people want, they want universal health care. They want reasonable gun restrictions. 89% of NRA members said they want reasonable gun control, reasonable gun restrictions, background checks, things like that. And guess what? We don't have them because the leaders of the NRA are assholes. And they don't care about what their people want. And I don't know how people could be a member of an organization like that. But, yeah, libertarians are off the wall. There's a few libertarians I can tolerate, and they will compromise. But most libertarians that I have met on the internet and in life, because I've met some in life too, okay? Most of the libertarians I have met, and mind you, this is my anecdote, not the statistic. Maybe there's a lot of quiet libertarians out there who will compromise. Most of them will not compromise. Oh, Jason, let me tell you, living under Republican rule is not a good thing, and Michigan has had Democratic governors and Republican governors. They've had Republican legislatures and Democratic legislatures, and the Republicans are always introducing the same damn bills to mess up the economy, deregulate it, make things better for business and rich people for, not paying taxes. But it doesn't make things better for business because everything that they end up doing ends up not helping labor and not helping people get disposable income. And without disposable income, consumers cannot fuel entrepreneurship. I've seen it time and time again. Businesses go out of business because people do not have disposable income, and Republicans do not get that, and I can't stand it. And I'm trying to tell my senator, Pat Toomey, that this is the case, and he does not listen. Oh, man. Scott Walker. Oh, man. Yes, I know about Scott Walker. He is a terrible, terrible human being. Oh, man. I don't know. The Republican Party, I vowed I'd never vote Republican again after I've been told by Republicans that I shouldn't be considered a citizen or a patriot. That's attributed to George Bush Sr., and he may or may not have said that, but there are a lot of Republicans who said it to my face. That I'm un-American because I'm an atheist and this is a Christian nation and I don't belong here. And I will not vote for Republicans as long as they mingle they mingle church and state. But that's not my only problem with them. My other problems with them, they don't care about poor people. They only care about their donors. If you wonder why Congress is 70% for what the lobbyists want, 30% for what the people want, it's because of that. Because they care about their donors more than they care about the American people. And it's ridiculous. I honestly think if you want to get the money out of Congress, you want to get the corruption out of Congress, what you need to do is go to a jury duty system. And the only way that's going to happen is through an amendment to the Constitution. And to get an amendment going, you're going to have to do you're going to have to get a lot of boots on the ground. It's going to be really well-organized movement. But, I mean, the way, you could just ban lobbying. But there's some good lobbying, some bad lobbying, but it's all lobbying, and the people who have the most voices in the ears of our elected officials are the rich people and the corporations. They have the money to pay for lobbying. And when they pay for lobbying, guess what ends up happening to you? You end up having less. They end up paying for this lobbying and they could be paying their employees. They could be passing on savings to you. Things like that. I don't know. I think we should have Congress like jury duty. bring in experts on various bills, require that experts give opinions on bills. It is going to require I think a constitutional convention would be great. The problem is that I don't think it would go our way right now. We'd need a movement like Justice Democrats to really, really take power. Really, really take power. Scott Walker hates labor. That's my biggest problem with him, but he has all kinds of other problems. Tell me about it, Jason. I don't know. I've met a lot of Republicans that are just, terrible at their job. I mean, look at what's his face up in Michigan. Oh, what is that governor's name in Michigan? I keep wanting to say Corbett, but that was our governor before Wolf over here in Pennsylvania. But the governor who made it possible for Flint to have lead in their water, they still don't have clean water there. They don't have drinkable water, and people have had lead poisoning. Kids have irreparable brain damage from drinking the damn water. I mean, how is that even possible in America? I know how it's possible. You don't have to tell me, but we let her. I mean, it's not surprising to me that Puerto Rico got the short end of the stick when it came to hurricane relief, because they have no power to vote for anybody, so Trump doesn't have to care about them. And all he cares about is getting reelected in 2020, when hopefully he won't finish out his term. That's what I'm really hoping. But it's not surprising to me Puerto Rico got the short end of the stick there, because Trump is a monster. Trump is a monster. Trump is a monster. He has no redeemable qualities. There's nothing about him. Oh, he went and hugged some people in the hospital after the shooting. Please. Because they're white. You know who I didn't see him shake hands with and hug? That black guy that helped 30 people before he got shot. I mean, I don't have to see him hug that, but you know who he didn't hug? And there's that picture circulating of Obama hugging people after a hurricane, Bush, of Clinton, hugging people after a hurricane. But when it came to Trump, what was he doing? Throwing paper towels, not hugging anybody. And the only people he likes are people who suck up to him. He likes sycophants. Jason, that is not surprising to me. We had a governor in Corbett who was here before Tom Wolf got elected the year after I moved here. Corbett was the governor before that, and he imposed an excise tax on gasoline of 50 cents a gallon, right? So our gas is higher than the rest of the nation. Well, not the rest of the nation, but a lot of the rest of the nation. Definitely middle America. It's always higher here than in Ohio, for example. And he put this 55 cent tax, something like that, on gasoline. And guess what? It was supposed to go to highway funds, and he just hoarded that money. That money didn't get spent on highways. Didn't get spent on infrastructure. Tom Wolf comes in and just starts spending the hell out of that on infrastructure. And now we have decent roads. It's weird how that works. He's spending on what it should be spent on. Tom Wolf, I really like. I really, really like Tom Wolf. I hope he stays governor for a while. I really want to run for Senate. That's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons I'm working out. I'm working out for my health. That's the primary reason. I want to be healthy. I want to be comfortable. I don't know that my back pain is going to go away, but I do have a chance of getting surgery that will repair it. And that's why I'm working out. But I want to run for Congress in 2020. I want to beat Toomey or I want to beat Rothfuss. One of those two people. I think I can beat them because they lie and that's all they do, and they don't care about the American people. Toomey especially, he does not listen at all to his constituents. He does not care. You can say whatever you want to him. He will not compromise. He will not waver. He will support the worst agenda possible. And, that taxing soda pop and cigarettes, Jason, is a tax on the poor. Look, the common people don't have... There's been a stagnation of wages and salaries over the last 17 years, okay? 16 years, because it really started in 2001 with 9/11, because that's when the corporations started tightening. They said, we got to tighten the belt. And then they would tighten the belt on workers Wall Street will let them give the CEOs and everything a raise. Everybody talks about CEOs. You got to remember, there's more officers than just the CEO. Okay, there's a COO, there's a CIO, all that, right? So, the executives end up getting these golden parachutes and these higher pensions and higher salaries. And then the workers, when they try to go and give the workers, and I will, to their credit, these companies do try to give their workers money when they're doing well. Wall Street says, your stock's going to go down, don't do it. And they don't give they don't want their shareholders to get hurt, because they don't want their stock prices to go down, because it'll hurt their investment capital. And then they don't give anything to the workers, and guess what ends up happening? Minimum wage didn't keep up, and neither did wages and salaries. And now that we're trying to get minimum wage up to at least $15 an hour, when it should be about $22 now, because of inflation, people balk at it because I don't make $15 an hour as an EMT. I don't make $15 an hour as a nurse. I don't make $15 an hour in this job, and you want to give it to burger flippers. Why aren't you mad about what you're making? Why aren't you mad about what you're making? You save people's lives as an EMT, as a nurse. You take care of people's loved ones. You have people's lives in your hands. Why are you not angry about what you're making? You shouldn't be satisfied. You can't live on $13 an hour anymore and raise a family. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could go back to making $13 an hour, which is what I made. I made $12.50 an hour in 1998, people. 1998, $12.50 an hour as an entry-level employee. And there's no freaking way people can live off $13 an hour and raise a family. And it bothers me every day when I see these arguments, oh, $15 an hour is too much for burger flippers. You know what? I want people to be happy in their jobs. And if they're making $15 an hour, they're meeting their bills and shit. They aren't stressing out. So they're not trying to get back at, other people by spitting on their food. Though I worked in food service, and I don't know very many people who did anything like that. I've heard stories, but I have never seen it actually happen. Okay? I did see one person get mad, and he kind of put their pizza dough in the mop water and sent it out, but that was the only incident I've ever seen, and I worked in food service for years. I worked from 16 to 25 in food service, 26 even, actually, because that's when I got my job at FedEx when I was 26. And, man, I was a young man. And anyway, it's not just that. People stress out, and there's turnover, and there's drama, because people are stressed. People don't have the money, and they're just asking for a freaking living wage. And if you give a company 40 hours or more of your life, you should get a living wage, because that's your life, man. They are taking your life, and you don't have a living wage. You should be mad as hell. Jason, I have a friend who does that too, and he doesn't get a living wage for it, and that is unconscionable. What you do is a very valuable service, and you should be getting money for that. You should be getting a living wage for that. If you're not, it's just, we need stronger social safety nets. We need care for people, because otherwise it'd be dependent on their parents or their family, and who knows if they have the money. These glasses, I'll tell you, I'm up to almost 60 minutes. But, my glasses keep coming down my nose. I'm hoping to get 85 minutes in. I don't know if this video is going to be 85 minutes long or not. Oh, yeah, Colin. It's totally fucked up. Jason should be making a living wage or better. Nurses should be making tons of money. I mean, if you're an RN, you make decent money. But if you're a nurse's aide, if you do the grunt work, if you wipe people's butts and you give them their medication and give them showers and all the other care that goes into it, you get paid crap. You can get paid $9 an hour for that. As a matter of fact, let me go back to that. I made $12.50 an hour in 1998, right? Tech support people now get paid $9 an hour. $9 an hour. I was in tech support back then. $9 an hour. 1998, I made more than that. 19 years later, you can go to Chipotle in Pennsylvania and start at $10.50 an hour. Doing something that doesn't require any previous skill, doesn't require a technical mindset, you have to have a natural ability for customer service, and you have to be able to handle the rush and things like that, but that is tested on the job, and I'm glad, Jason, that you're getting by. I do think that people who do what you do should make more money. I think caregivers are undervalued. I think labor is undervalued in general. I can't say that I'm undervalued, but I work for a good company. There's a lot of companies out there that aren't good. Hostess wasn't a good company. Hostess had terrible management, and they treated their workers terribly. When 2008 hit and that economic downturn happened, that recession, that was pretty much a depression for Detroit and some places in California and a lot of different places. It was a depression for a lot of people. They were living in tent cities. People lost their homes, all kinds of stuff. When that happened, Hostess cut their drivers' wages by 35%. 35% pay cut. They didn't do anything wrong. They were doing their jobs and they got 35% pay cut. Feels like punishment. Well, it's punishment for bad management. They were punishing their workers for their mistakes, and they ended up, Hostess ended up having, bankruptcy problems and things, and that's because they managed it into the ground. Neglectful poor management can really mess up a company, especially if it becomes like an old boys network, and all these people just pat each other on the back and they keep each other in those positions. They can really mess up a company. Rent-A-Center had a bunch of people using cocaine in executive positions, and they were addicted to cocaine, and they were snorting cocaine with their managers and shit. And Rent-A-Center was not well managed for a long time. I don't know how they're doing now. Rent-A-Center is a big scam on the poor. So is Aaron's. I will admit, I've used them. I used Rent-A-Center to get furniture. I used, not here, long time ago. But we did use Aaron's. We needed a washer and dryer when we moved in. And we used Aaron's to get it because we were desperate. We didn't have a credit card with enough of a balance to get them. Now we could. No problem. But we had to get a washer and dryer, so we used them. You end up paying twice what the stuff's worth by the end of the rental agreement. I ended up paying it off early, which was great, but by the end of the rental agreement, you paid twice what that stuff's worth new. And it's ridiculous. And that is just a tax on the poor. You're poor, you don't have good credit, or you don't have established credit, and all you need are references. You have like 6 references, and they call them all. And then they give you have to go through that humiliation, and then they give you this stuff, and then you pay them twice what the stuff is worth. And that's just wrong. I mean, poor people get shit on. Payday loans. Payday loans are a big problem. People get desperate. They need this money to pay a bill so their utility doesn't get shut off. They go get a payday loan to pay it off, and then they're in a cycle because they are living paycheck to paycheck already. And unless they go without a bunch of meals, or unless they go with, I had the bare essentials when I got stuck in that cycle. And fortunately, my parents helped me out. They helped me out of it. They were like, "Oh, you're doing that payday loan. You need to not stop doing that." And they lent me some money or gave me some money. They lent me money because I ended up. My dad, when he was alive, forgave my student loan. He paid off my student loan and said, "You don't have to worry about paying me back." My mom included my student loan in the money she said I owed her. I ended up giving her $22,000. And, oh yeah, buy here, pay here. I used that service too because I couldn't get a car any other way at one point. A lot of car lots will get you into cars, but not cars you can really afford when you're poor. You get into an 18% interest loan and pay $500 a month, or get into a really long-term loan. Sure, but if you want to get something you can afford, a payment you can afford, you got to get a junk car to buy here, pay here. You're absolutely right, Jason. Buy here, pay here car lots are the worst. They're really terrible. There's all that stuff. It's made to fuck the poor. It's made to fuck the poor. And I'm glad I'm not poor anymore. I got a lot of friends that are in that situation. And I'm not exactly rich either. But I'm not hurting. But then other people, friends of mine, are hurting, and I feel for them. One of my friends just got a job in her field after years of looking and fighting for her graduate degree. So proud of her, but man, it's ridiculous that people with degrees. I got another friend of mine who has 3 degrees. He can't get a job in those fields, and it's just. The world just... I think college tuition should be paid by people who... Any employer that requires... I'll tell you what, that situation will be fixed today. It'll fix in short order if you tax anyone who requires a college degree. If a business requires a degree, they have to pay a tax that funds tuition. They have to pay a tax that funds tuition. If they don't require a degree, they don't have to pay the tax, but they're going to have to require the training. But it would have to be if you're an employer that requires certificates, degrees, anything that costs money on the part of the person who needs the experience, who needs the training, you need to pay for that. It's about damn time we stop paying for the training. Well, Jason, I have it set, the amount of calories I want to burn during a session, I got it calculated out so that every week I burn 2 pounds with exercise, and I was already losing weight slowly. So I'll definitely lose 2 pounds per, but I haven't been doing it that long, so about 4 pounds maybe, from the exercise. I also have been dieting because I was diagnosed with diabetes in August, so I know I've lost weight from that too. But I'm set to lose 2 pounds a week, so it's not going to be all that dramatic until next year when I'm down 100 pounds, 104 pounds. 2 years from now when I'm down to where I want to be. But it's low impact. It's pretty easy to do. Jason, yeah, credit scores, man. Your credit score should not be a measure of employability. Some people have to declare bankruptcy. Let me give you an example. I already have my job, so I was good, but that's a relatively new thing, too. They didn't do that. They didn't do credit checks when I started working for my job in 1998. That's something that happened I think during the Bush administration. I won't say that was a piece of legislation or anything that passed, but that's a practice that happened during that decade. Credit checks. My first marriage, we had a lot of debt, and I wanted to get out of that debt because I wasn't going to be married anymore. And we accumulated that debt together. Why should I pay it all? So I declared bankruptcy because I was going to have to pay off a debt by myself that 2 people made, and it was high. And I won't get into whose fault it was or anything like that. I'm just saying I had high debt. And my credit score, declaring bankruptcy, went down to 375. And guess what? You get punished for that. They don't want to hire you if you're going to declare bankruptcy. Apparently. Because your credit score goes down to 375. It's back up now. It's not perfect. It's not where it was when I bought my house in Michigan. But it's getting better. It's getting to the point where I'm getting decent credit card offers. Things like that. Where I can get a low-interest car loan, because you can't get a low-interest car loan if you have a bad credit score. We just refinanced our car, as a matter of fact. That's good. We got a lower interest rate on it. So, yeah, Jason, that is not fair. Also, my credit score. If I had to go get a job now, with the credits, well, now I would be okay. But if I had to get a job in 2008, when I declared bankruptcy, or 2010, I can't remember what year my bankruptcy was actually discharged. But if I had to get a, it's funny. 6 months later, I had a car, had my Dodge Charger, which I love that car, but I had to sell it because here it just doesn't do well in the winters. But, yeah, when your credit score is 375, people don't want to hire you. Yeah, so if I had to get a job back in 2010 or 2008, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm glad you got it open over 700, Jason. That's really good. And, yeah, people don't want to employ you if you're down in the 300s. It's insane.
I'm home.
Hi.
Hi.
Jeannie's home. I love you. Oh, what is the box?
It says right on the front, here's a Christmas present.
Really?
No, but she can...
But it says VTech?
It says Go Smart View.
Oh, gosh. My daughter's presents are sitting on the porch. Well, I'm at 68 minutes. I have 16 minutes to go. I got plenty of time to get the boxes in. So, I'll do that in a bit. We're buying presents early so we get our shopping out of the way. And we got Caitlin. It's preschool level toys. She enjoys it, and it's more durable than some of the stuff she wants. And we know she's going to enjoy it, so why not, right? I'm actually feeling like I'm getting a workout here. I'm kind of warm. But yeah, I'm at 69 minutes now. This is the longest video I've done. I usually stop at an hour or 40 minutes or 20 minutes and then do it later. But I don't really have the time today because I got to go down and get my daughter. Then I have to go to work 2 hours later, and I spend time with my daughter between the time she gets home and the time I got to go work. I don't normally work 5 to 1. I'm on call this week. So we have to be around to answer questions in a chat and for another desk, and then actually a couple other desks, and we have to be on call for the rest of the time. So yeah, we don't do Black Friday. We shop a lot on Amazon, and I know people can probably tell me the evils of Amazon, blah blah blah, but we do a lot of our shopping online. It's not just Amazon. Do a lot of our shopping online because we don't like to go to the store. Dealing with crowds around Christmas, forget it. Not doing it. Not doing it. Yeah, it's true. Don't want to do it when it's not Christmas. The only time we really have to go to the stores on the weekends as a family, you know, if we're going to take Caitlin, we're going to take Gregory. Well, we don't always have to take Gregory, but Caitlin likes to go. Caitlin likes to look at toys, things like that. The only time we have is the weekends. Got to be in the morning. Oh, Colin. It's an accounting term, and you know it. You're joking, I know. It's where all these businesses get into the black from being in the red. Retailers, man. Oh, I got to deal with a retail peak every year because of the nature of my business, what I do. I support companies like, well, Amazon.com with web services, and I support companies like Target and Walmart and Neiman Marcus and Bonton, and I have a lot of medical companies too, but I have a lot of retailers, Kohl's, and yeah, Walmart has a decent online program, and they have a lot of servers. There's like 88 servers right now that we have to update, and it's that's Walmart's like one of my primaries. I have a list of primaries that I support, and Walmart's one of them.
This is light. I'm just going to put it in our room.
Oh, okay.
It's a big box, but it's light.
They probably got the 3 cars in there packaged well. So, the other one's by the garage, right?
What one?
There's the tower came. I'm pretty sure it's by the, unless somebody came up and stole it.
I didn't notice.
Oh boy. Alright. So we're down to 13 minutes left of the 85 minutes I have to do this. 85 minutes is a good chunk out of your day, and that's why this live video is good. Oh yeah, I watched Penn and Teller's bullshit. Let me tell you, Penn and Teller had a lot of good shows, and I like it when they debunk religion and debunk superstition and debunk woo. But man, sometimes they bring out their libertarian agenda, and I'm just like, I will give them credit for something though. They talked about science and the government doing science, and NASA doing science. They really gave NASA props because a lot of investment came out of NASA. NASA is an investment because a lot of technology that came out of NASA is used in a profitable way. Okay, a lot of technology that came out of the space program is used in a lot of industry. So they gave NASA credit, but they really had a biased episode on Walmart. A heavily biased episode on Walmart. A lot of facts that they didn't use. I like their show, but I like their show on vaccines. Oh, that was really good. Jeannie was talking about that the other day. I remember that show. They were talking about herd immunity and things like that. And, yeah, I mean, we need more debunking shows like that. Mythbusters and bullshit and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I haven't watched that show in a long time. I don't know if is it still around? Do they still do bullshit? As you know, I mean, Penn and Teller show is funny and stuff, but yeah, their libertarian agenda really comes out. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know, Colin. The women that they're showing us on those shows are about like a few years off of my daughter's age, so it's kind of creepy for me. You know, I know they're legal, but I'm 45, man. So, yeah, Mythbusters ended. Mythbusters was really good. Didn't they? They had a spin-off show, didn't they? It's just that Jamie and Adam aren't doing it anymore. I like Adam Savage a lot. Jamie, I don't know that well, but Adam, I've seen a lot off of the show, and I like what he has to say. Really loved their show. Don't really. I had the last few seasons. I didn't really watch a lot, but I used to watch it pretty religiously. Ironically, I liked Cosmos. I wish they'd bring that back. Although Neil deGrasse Tyson has a voice that can put you to sleep. It's like it's soothing, and it just mellows you out and just makes you want to go. You know.
It's conflicting.
Yeah, I mean, you're interested in the subject matter, but his voice just lulls you to sleep. Carl Sagan's original Cosmos was really good too. But Neil deGrasse Tyson, I like to see him do more. He has his lectures. There's lectures that are on YouTube, and so you can see more Neil deGrasse Tyson. But I liked his Cosmos series. We need more science shows. We need more science literacy in the United States. That's one thing that we lack. We lack science literacy. And that's a big problem. I mean, the flat earth thing, which I swear had to have started as a troll on social media, on Twitter. Probably came from 4chan first, because 4chan is the fucking cesspool of the internet.
There's no box down here.
Oh, man, I thought I heard a truck drive up. Somebody might have thrown it in, because I saw the order was delivered. At least I think so. I'll check. Anyway, Star Talk is on Nat Geo. Yeah, I'm worried about National Geographic, because Fox bought them. But we'll see what ends up happening. Fox was the one who aired Cosmos, so who knows. I can't forgive Fox, though. Well, wait, was it Fox? Who canceled Firefly? Whoever canceled Firefly, I hate them. I hate them forever. And you know who else I hate? The people who canceled Stargate. I think CBS ended up buying the Stargate franchise. Then they killed it. Stargate SG-1 was on for years. And then you had Stargate Atlantis, and you had Stargate Universe. And Stargate Universe had so much potential. So much potential. Satan canceled Firefly. That's funny. Stargate had so much potential. Stargate Universe had so much potential. There were good actors on it. But that the one guy, Jewel State. Yeah, Jewel State was my favorite. You bought it. Oh, you bought one. That wasn't the same one.
No, I got this one too.
Oh, there's a cat on a llama on a tumbler, and
there's a UFO.
Are these cups for Caitlin?
No, these are mine.
Oh, these are for you. Okay. Oh, that's Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course she can use them.
Jeannie bought some epic cups. Let's just put it that way. Sci-Fi had Stargate, then CBS bought them. And after CBS bought them, they canceled the franchise. Big Bang Theory, there's a lot of hate on Big Bang Theory. I think it's a funny series. We do watch it. I have problems with some of it. Colin said hi, by the way.
Hi, Colin.
She said hi if you didn't hear her. Big Bang Theory, I liked Big Bang Theory. I think Leonard and Penny are like the couple from hell. I think them being together is just ridiculous. But yeah.
They should have made him with
Sheldon's teacher assistant, graduate assistant?
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah. Sheldon had a graduate assistant named Alex who was smart and liked smart guys, and Leonard and Alex should have gotten together. That is what should have happened. Penny...
The babies would have been beautiful and smart like he wanted with Penny.
Here's the thing. Penny and Leonard have nothing in common. Like, literally nothing. She doesn't like any of his passions, thinks they're nerdy passions. She does care about him enough to try to understand his stuff, what he does for a living, things like that. And every once in a while she has a moment, but she gets bored with Star Trek and Star Wars. She scoffs at that kind of stuff, and that is not good. She tears it down. You're supposed to build your partner up, even if you don't like what they like. Like, all right, I can't say there's anything I don't like that Jeannie likes, but I'm not really into some of the, like, she has passions that I'm never going to get into heavily. Like, I'm never going to get a ball-jointed doll and make clothes for it and make it up and all that kind of stuff. She loves that stuff, okay? And she loves ballet. I like ballet a lot. I like watching people dance. I love graceful dancing. I wish I would have gotten into ballet and supported the ballet instead of strippers back when I was in my 20s, because I would have actually saved a lot of money and I would have been like backstage. I could have. The amount I spent in my 20s, oh my gosh, I made so much money selling cell phones. Between 1995 and 1997, I made a lot of money selling cellular phones while I was working for the pizza business. And I spent it on strippers. And if I would have gotten into ballet, I just liked watching graceful dancing. And the women that I chose when I went to those places were women who could actually dance. And if I'd have gone into ballet instead, it would have been less sleazy. I'm nothing against stripping, okay? I don't want to disparage strippers. I don't want to disparage sex workers. Don't get me wrong. I met some friends from there. I had friends who were strippers, and they were great people. And, we hung out outside and we were good friends. I was good friends with a lesbian who stripped. Her name was Anna. And so we were best friends for a couple years. I mean, it was just, I lost touch with her because she's in the witness protection program because she ended up telling on meth ring. So she gave up a meth ring, and she's in the witness protection program now. So I lost touch with her. But in any case, if I'd have gotten into ballet, I could have supported the ballet to the tune of $25,000, and I would have had tons of money left over for whatever I wanted. I made 6 figures every year I sold cellular phones before they went into mall kiosks and stuff. It was really lucrative. I sold to landscapers, I sold to salespeople, I sold to people who worked for the pizza business. I made a lot of money. So, Jason. Yeah, we could probably talk all day about that stuff, but it's a thing in the past. I can't imagine spending money on strippers now. I have a family. I would so much rather spend money on building our life together and on my family than I would on any strange person. Plus, all these strippers are so young. I'm 45, man, and I don't care, people say, I'm an adult and I should be treated as an adult and I'm legal. I don't care. I'm 45. You're close to my daughter's age. My stepdaughter's going to be 19 in December. You think I want to go and have a 19-year-old give me a lap dance? I feel creepy as fuck. I just would. Yes, they're legal adults, technically speaking. They're still kids in my eyes. They look like kids to me. They look like they should be in high school. And when they look like they should be in high school, it changes my perspective an awful lot, okay? So I'm just talking for my personal tastes and preferences, but, no. If she's closer to my daughter's age than she is to my age, I ain't doing it. So if I was single now, I wouldn't be in strip clubs. I might be supporting the ballet, though. Maybe I could find a ballet instructor that, but I hope I never am single again. Jeannie and I aren't planning on any sort of split. We love each other very much. And unless one of us actually dies, we're not splitting up. So, it's going good. We don't even argue. People talk about arguments between couples and stuff like that. You talk out your differences, but we don't have arguments.
What are you eating?
We don't have arguments. So,
He's eating the ream of paper.
he's eating the ream of paper.
Plastic around it.
Oh my gosh. Paco's bad. Paco is bad. I might talk about Paco again sometime. I talked to him about him in a previous video. I am at 84 minutes and 27 seconds. I appreciate you coming in and sticking around and commenting and interacting. I'm going to be wrapping up here because it's 84 minutes and 38 seconds now. And I'm done. I'm going to get in regular clothes instead of my bathrobe. And I'm going to go out and get my daughter from the bus stop. And I will exercise again tomorrow. Hopefully earlier than I did today. I slept longer than I wanted to. And, so, no problem, Colin. I'm happy to do it. I'm glad you joined. I'm glad you and Jason, and I saw Tony on there. Everybody who joined, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. You make these exercise sessions go very fast, and I'm glad that you like to listen to me ramble and interact with me. You guys have a good one. Take care.